Hey everyone, you're watching the Esperanza 243. Today we are going to read more of Part of Your World, another book reading video just for you guys. Ooh, do I really? Oh, no, I still have a lot of pages to go. So, before I start reading, I want to say thank you everyone for watching my videos. And I'm pretty sure a majority of it is for Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, but still, I appreciate all of you watching my lyric videos. I appreciate for all of you just watching my channel. I really like it. Thank you guys so much. Yesterday, I hit 2,000 viewers of all my total upload videos. Very awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. I appreciate it a lot. Alright, let's get to the book reading video, shall we? Let's mix and mingle, shall we? Sorry, I got Mystery Men stuck on my head. Here we go. Amber moved forward and spoke up. Your Majesty, we bring bad news, she said. There are some mermen you banned from Aquatica nearby. The king widened his eyes. How do you know of me banning mermen? She looked down. I've been hiding out in Aquatica for the past 15 years. I know what goes on around the kingdom. Which mermen are you talking about? I've banned quite a few in the past 15 years. You banned them 5 years ago. She sighed. It was something about transporting items from here to land. I can't quite remember the details. King Adelaide thought for a moment. I think I remember this, but just barely. He looked at Amber. You think these men are here? I don't think, sir. I know for a fact. Garnet has crossed their paths twice now. The last time she was able to take something with them knowing. He looked startled. With them knowing? Where is it now? Do they know where it is? He asked furiously. Amber sighed again and looked at her daughter. Garnet sighed as well. I don't have it, Uncle. I happened to bump into my aunt at Virginia Beach. I was able to convince her to take the thing and bring it to the police. He widened his eyes. Nowadays, the police have technology to identify what is what. With that and people in those towns, they are able to arrest anyone who's broken a law, doing something illegal, if there's enough evidence. I know certain things about these bad mermen. I told Aunt Kaylee everything. If the police can set a trap before sunrise, they'll be able to arrest them. He narrowed his eyes. Then why come to me? Why wake me at this hour? Garnet sighed again. If they find out what's going on, there will be a chance for them to escape through a tunnel, which happens to have an opening near the beach, and also leads nearby here. You could set a trap, like the police, and capture them. King Adelaide sighed. He closed his eyes and then looked at her. What is this item? It's a stuffed animal, about this tall, she said, using her hands to show the height. When I first looked at it, I knew it was made of real fur. Tonight, when I grabbed one of them, it felt heavy. I think there is something inside it besides cotton. The merman in charge said it would kill any fish in contact. He gasped. He shook his head, as he paced back and forth. "Ezra," he called. Mr. Ezra moved forward. "Yes, Your Majesty," he answered. "Check and make sure all the guards are doing their duties. Also, gather at least a dozen guards. I want to make sure both ends of this tunnel are covered," he ordered. "Yes, Your Majesty, at once," Ezra replied, bowing. He swam off to carry the orders. "Garnet, I want you to show me these entrances," the king said. She nodded. "Yes, sir." She looked at Amethyst and back at the king. "I'm going to need Amethyst's help on finding the opening near here." He nodded. Garnet had shown her uncle the tunnel opening near his castle with Amethyst's help. After that, she, King Adelais, Amethyst, and Amber swam to the other opening without using the tunnel. He rubbed his chin when he saw the opening, planning his side of the trap. It was an interesting 2 hours, watching him instruct 6 guards on what to do. He kept changing things every so often. Amber and Amethyst giggled each time. Garnet had other things on her mind. She was thinking of what had happened since she found her mother. There were a lot of things cleared up. Then she remembered her mom talking to Aunt Kaylee about a note she left for her. She tapped her mom on the shoulder and motioned her to follow her. Amber nodded. They swam a little ways away so no one would hear their conversation. "What is it, my dear?" she asked her daughter. "There's something bothering me," she said. Amber gave her a look. "The note you told Aunt Kaylee about. What was it about?" Her mother gasped and looked around. "Can't this wait until later, Garnet? The sun is about to rise." Garnet looked eastward. The sun was beginning to rise. She looked back at Amber. Her eyes were filled with worry and fear. Amber felt sad and gave her a motherly look. "I'm sure it would, Mom, but I can't wait any longer. I want to know." "Very well, then," she said. She thought for a moment. "I left a note saying I was going away. The nightmare I had when I was a child. It came back. I kept having it week after week. I couldn't take it anymore. I thought that if I went to sea, I could figure out what this nightmare was about." She sighed. "I didn't think going in the ocean would change my life," she whispered, looking to the side. Amber looked back at her. "I even mentioned that I wanted your father to raise you. If I didn't call him back in a certain amount of time, then he should keep it all a secret, to not let you know what I did." Tears started filling her eyes, remembering all of it over again. "I wish I could take it all back, but I didn't go into the ocean." Garnet hugged her. "Don't cry about it, Mom." Her mother hugged her back. "You could have taken me with you, you know." They pulled apart. She nodded her head, wiping her tears. "I know," she said. I didn't think I was ready. I was afraid you would grow up with the same habits I did. I didn't want you to be teased about it. I didn't want you to be teased about it all while you grew up." She shook her head. "Now that I know what the connection is between my dream and the ocean, I would have been scared if you chose the ocean over your family." Garnet smiled. I would have chosen my family, even if there was a choice. Amber nodded. Amber nodded. Amethyst told me before that I could go on land if my fins were dry. She paused. I didn't try until a year or two ago. I was afraid to try. I'm glad I did. It had been a long time since I felt sand in my toes. She and Garnet chuckled. Amber sighed. Each time I went on land, though, I always had a hard time getting myself to go. She was quiet. I still remember. She sighed shakily. I could never figure out if I would find you, or Kaylee, or your father. Each time, though, I could never get far. I couldn't figure out where to go after sunset. She sniffed and wiped the tears out of her eyes. It's hard to stay out there with limitations. I sometimes wondered if it's possible to keep human legs after sunset. She paused. But here you are. She smiled. A mermaid, no less. Not what I expected. But now you and I can get together more often. She sighed again. It's a shame that we're allowed to have legs until sunset. It does, Garnet replied. I won't be able to see Aunt Kaylee on a daily basis. She sighed as well. At least I'll be able to see Marion. She lives about 3 hours away from Virginia Beach. I'd have to go in the morning, though, if I wanted to visit her for a while. That's when her mother had a brainstorm. Amber gasped. That's why you went to King Adelaide's before sunrise. Because once the sun is up, the merman will go on land and... She gasped again. She looked around carefully. Garnet became confused. What's wrong? She asked, looking at her. We don't know where the mermen are resting. If they're not inside the tunnel and using that hole, they would know that traps are set. Garnet gasped. Meanwhile, Kaylee had a hard time convincing the police. She even gave them the stuffed animal for examination. Uh-oh. I think I've gone past my limit. No. Oh, thank God. Meanwhile, Kaylee had a hard time convincing the police. She even gave them the stuffed animal for examination. The police studied the evidence. It turned out it was made of real fur. Inside the stuffed animal were drugs. That convinced them that Kaylee was serious and telling the truth. They soon had 2 police cars with 5 officers heading to the park. Kaylee tagged along in her own car. In 15 minutes, they were hastening all over the park, searching for a cave. One of the officers found a cave. It wasn't the cave, though. The police kept searching. Kaylee couldn't take it anymore and decided to join in the cave search. Soon, she stopped herself. She realized she had entered an area of the park she had walked before. She tried remembering what happened that day. We didn't just walk. Someone had walked by us, she whispered. She thought for a moment and gasped. I knew he wanted something else besides casual chat. Then she went off in search of an officer nearby. When she called out to a police officer, he rushed to her side. They entered the familiar part of the park. And that is where I stop. So, I will talk to you guys later. This is the Esperanza 243, signing off.